talking to her, not that I'm her.
Hi, and welcome to Aging Matters, a program sponsored by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging. My name is Ann Barlet, and I am the Manager of Community Outreach and Education for the agency. Our program this evening is on enjoying the benefits and protect yourself from the risks of summer. I thought it was most appropriate since we've just begun June and we've got the summer ahead of us. And so I've asked our special guest this evening, Maria Radwanski, to join us. Maria is an RN and she is the owner of Health Calls Home Health Agency. Welcome and thank you for being with us, Maria, tonight.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks, Ann.
What I obviously, as we're hitting summer and the weather's starting to kind of be warm and stay with us a couple of days, obviously that's time. We think of vacations, we think of fun, we think of family get-togethers, but it usually is during the day many times, in the hot sun, in the heat of the time of day. And so with that brings us some causes for concern with regards to, are we really safe? Are we really protecting ourselves from some of the risks that the summer sun and heat present to us? And in particular, of course, for older adults, and how older adults can actually have fun in the sun and the summer, but still be safe and protect yourself a little bit better from the risks that we're going to talk about this evening. All righty, Maria, we've got a lot to cover. So I thought what we'd start with almost a head-to-toe kind of plan for summer safety. And one of the things that I think I'd like to start with, because we don't always think about this, is summer and this eye safety, vision and eye safety for the summer. I think sometimes we just forget that part of it. And some of the information that we will be presenting tonight came from the Vision Resource Center of Berks County. So let's start with that. And Maria, can you share with us, do you have some information or background about, again, the concerns and some statistics about eyewear and protecting of the eyes?
Absolutely. The information that we're sharing, we're specifically talking about seniors, but it really applies to anyone. I think one of the things that we really have to look at in terms of the summer sun is that it can be very good for us. It makes us feel better, but it also can provide some hazards. You know, for example, the ultraviolet rays of the sun can cause vision problems. It can cause cataracts. It can cause, you know, lens changes, and that is a big deal. The lens of a child allows 70% of the UV rays to reach the delicate portions of the eye, and that just increases as someone ages. And so we really need to consider what we need to do to protect our eyes. So wearing sunglasses is an absolute must, and it needs to be sunglasses that will protect against the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So there needs to be a UV classification on the sunglasses that are chosen. I have a friend who I've been trying to beat this into because he has very light eyes, and he feels as though if he has those sunglasses on that he's going to present a visual obstacle from the eye-to-eye contact with the person that he's talking to. But most likely that other person is wearing sunglasses too, if they're both thinking smart about the future health of their eye. And Anne, I understand you have a personal story about
I must confess,
the eyes.
I do. And when you're mentioning that about, you were saying about the children and that 70% of that getting in and affecting the eyes and the retina. How many years ago? 2003 and 2005, I had cataract surgery, one in one eye in 2003 and the other in 2005, and I was obviously a younger person to have cataracts, and the doctor kept asking me questions like, you know, why they would have seen that in me. Was I diabetic? No. Had I had a trauma, a head injury? And I said no. And eventually he looked at me and he went, were you out in the sun a lot? And I said, absolutely. From, you know, younger than 5 years of age on up, every summer was at the pool. So we did not wear sunglasses then. That, you know, so you'd be in the pool. I was there all day long. The sun's rays reflecting off the pool on you, laying out in the beach towel, back in the pool. constantly for summers on end. And they said that that was probably what contributed to having cataracts so young. And I will be honest with you, I look very much right now for the sunglasses that I have are polarized, are very particular, because I am even more sensitive now, I think, when I go out in the sun and absolutely have to have them on, or I'm uncomfortable and it hurts. So. There's a word of warning.
Yeah, and we need to think about wearing sunglasses all year round. Just think about all the snow and the ice that we had this winter. The light rays hitting the surface of the snow and bouncing up into our eyes does the same thing as the sun does in the summer, although the sun is lower and more direct in the summertime, so we have to be particularly careful in the summer, but all year round you have that exposure to the ultraviolet rays, and so you really need to consider wearing sunglasses. What that does over time is it really decreases a person's ability to see with glare and to see at nighttime, and it affects many parts of the vision, and that isn't something that's going to be fixed just with medication. It requires surgery to remove the cataracts. And there are macular degenerations that can occur in the back of the eye and can lead to blindness or really diminished vision because of not protecting the eyes from the ultraviolet rays. So that is a serious consideration. Hats are another thing that we really need to consider using. In the summertime, because of my light eyes and my light skin, I'm particularly prone to not just having headaches from the sun glare on my eyes, but I freckle really easily, and I know that I need to wear a high level of sunblock, and that's something that everybody should really consider some degree of sunblock depending on how your skin reacts to the sun. We were out in the car with a convertible down a couple of weeks ago, and my daughter sunburned in just a couple of hours, and even though she had on sunblock. But you really have to consider the type of sunblock that you're using and make sure you're using a high degree of sunblock and reapplying it frequently.
I was going to say the reapplying. So again, after we're out in the sun or we've gone in the pool or something, the ocean, wherever we are, the reapplication is always important,
right,
as the initial.
It's something with repeated exposure as we age. There is an increased chance of having more changes to the skin. So you have to examine your skin very closely and make sure that you aren't developing anything that's precancerous. Having your family doctor at your yearly visit really check things out, and then making a referral to a dermatologist for early removal so that you prevent skin cancer, melanomas, and basal cell type of cancers from occurring.
And is there something that we could do also that we're looking at ourselves? Should we suspect something in a skin? I can see my freckles too, but
Sure.
But is there something that I need to look for if I notice something a little different? What?
Any freckle or any mole that has changed suddenly in color, shape, contours, becoming irregular or growing in size, any changes, really you should notify your doctor directly and have a referral so that you have a biopsy done and have that removed as quickly as possible.
Good. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
So we've looked at, again, I think the other thing with hats I was thinking of is I always get it in this part of my, at the top
Right.
of my head in the part area, and I forget, and you go to
That
comb
you need
your
to wear
hair or hit it.
hats.
So
Yeah.
it starts from here with, again, wearing hats with the brims to protect yourself from those rays, protect your eyes, protect your face. Have your sunglasses. Obviously, your sunblock will also help with that and prevention of anything. So, as we're coming down and we're thinking about the summer and more of the safety, also I think of my sister. I'll have another personal story. She'll kill me on this one, but she doesn't. Takes her a long time, in a sense, to figure out it's warm. In the change of the temperature, she's been so used to a colder time that she still continues to dress forgetting, and almost has to be reminded, it's now hot. It's a certain degree on a regular basis. You need to start taking off. Or when you are out, you know, look at what you're wearing out in, again, if it's at a picnic or you're taking a long walk or whatever it is. So maybe we can talk about some of the better things to wear, or why.
Right. It is better to wear cotton. Cotton has the ability to allow your sweat to evaporate. If you wear synthetic materials, some of the newer synthetics like you know, things that have Gore-Tex in them, you know, those will allow for evaporation. But polyesters and things that are more synthetic in nature can really be more difficult for your body to get rid of that and have that ability for the pores to open up and allow the heat that your body has to escape. And so that is one of the things to consider, is the clothing that you're wearing, the number of layers that you're wearing, and also what is actually going on with your particular body. Some people do not sweat very well, and because they don't sweat very well, body temperatures can increase really rapidly as a result of prolonged exposure to the heat of the day. When it's humid out, our bodies don't have a tendency to sweat as much, have a tendency to hold on to the heat. And that can lead to things like muscle cramping. That's usually an early symptom, and the reason for that is because of changes in the electrolytes in the body can lead to that muscle cramping. After that occurs, it can lead to heat exhaustion, and a lot of people with heat exhaustion may be complaining of feeling dizzy or feel very sweaty, may have a rapid heart rate, may be have very flush skin, and they are you know, definitely sweating more, but their temperature is still going up even though their body is sweating, and that can lead to heat stroke very quickly. And if someone develops heat stroke, they have an opportunity of their body temperature to go up as high as 105 and 106 degrees, which is not compatible with life. You know, very quickly in a matter of 15-20 minutes. So it's really important when outside to consider not just what we're wearing, but what we're doing. Are we making sure that we're staying cool? What do we do to stay cool? We have to really consider having fluids, the right kind of fluids. Most people, when they're at a picnic, think about having a nice cold beer will cool them down. That doesn't cool you down. That just increases the temperature of your body. It's really important to stay away from alcoholic beverages when you're out in really hot weather. The hotter the weather, the more liquids that you need, and you really need to consider making sure that you're drinking at least 12 ounces of water every hour to keep up with the evaporation that's occurring from sweating. And it's not just coming from the surface area of your skin, you're also losing a lot from your head, and also through your breathing, you're losing a lot of fluid, and you have to replace that.
And I think, Maria, some of the things for seniors, you know, I think older adults and seniors of an older age, the combination of the two areas that you just mentioned. One is the sweating. You know, many times I think, and maybe we can talk about this, you know, they might not be thinking that they're exhausting themselves by the activity that they're doing out in the sun. So that I guess I'm thinking they might just go out and, you know, pick a few weeds, but they're not sweating, but they're in the sun, and so they're not thinking, and that's how quickly some of those heat issues can arise. Right,
and some people don't sweat very easily, and you lose the ability to sweat as you get older. And also, there are many medications that you take that can affect your ability to sweat.
I was going to ask about that. I'm going to ask you to hold that. We need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching bctv.org. Be informed, be involved, be a member. For membership information, go to www.bctv.org/support/membership. For For other stories and information, go to bctv.org.
All right, welcome back to our program. My guest again is Maria Radwanski, who is an RN and owner of Health Calls Home Agency. I apologize, Maria.
No problem.
And our program is talking about kind of being safe and also worrying about the risks of summer safety, particularly for older adults. We were just talking about a couple of things, that some of the seniors or older adults aren't sweating as much as they should be, and leading to some heat issues. The other thing we alluded to was, again, Maria mentioned that to be drinking a lot more. I think you said 12 ounces per hour, and hopefully if you're in the heat of the sun and the heat of the day, to not have alcoholic beverages. So having pretty much water and some other healthful liquids. And I think what we were going to talk about is the other issue with seniors is they don't tend to get thirsty or think about drinking. So
right.
That can cause an issue, right?
It can cause an issue, and honestly, as you're in the sun more, you have a tendency to, as your temperature increases in your body, many people don't have that thirst mechanism to tell them to drink. So they consider, because I'm not thirsty, I don't really need to have anything to drink. But you have to understand that you may not have that thirst mechanism to make you reach for a drink. So it's really important to still deliberately drink despite that. Drinking water, and that is important not only to help lower the temperature of the body and to help replenish the fluids that you're losing, but also the body organs really depend on the fluid to continue to work. For example, the kidneys. The kidneys are the filters of our body, and there's a lot of impurities that build up as a result of taking medication, as a result of everyday activity, the food that we eat, and it really relies on having water in order to be able to filter those impurities out of our bodies. And so the medications.
Well, I was going to say the medications, what I could think of too quickly were two things with medications, in that you were going to say, I guess, medications and how they can affect this situation, but also many times seniors are taking certain medications like diuretics, and when they find themselves out at picnics or they don't want to have to go to the bathroom, so they also don't drink.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit more about tell us more about how medications might affect or contribute or assist in this issue with summer and the heat? Medications
can prevent people from sweating. Is one of the things that can occur. They can also affect the blood, the amount of blood that goes to the body surface, which prevents the sweating from occurring. Things like over-the-counter medications that we may take because of allergies. If you have pollen allergies, you may take loratadine or something like that before heading outside. That can prevent your body from having the circulation come to the skin so that you can sweat. Blood pressure medication can affect your circulation, and so can migraine medications. Some of the other things that frequently are problems are medications taken for pain or for muscle spasms. And so there's a wide range of drugs out there that people could be taking that could really affect it. And the biggest thing is preventing the normal circulation to come to the skin so that evaporation of heat can occur. So a good suggestion then for folks who are more active and maybe like to take long walks or will spend a lot of time out in the summer sun this summer, that maybe they can check with the pharmacist with regards to those medicines they're taking, and just to make them aware and more alert about that. Right, absolutely. It is really important to talk to your doctor, talk to the pharmacist about medications that you're taking, so that you know if there is anything that you need to change in being out in the sun. There are also medications that make you more intolerant to the summer sun and may actually cause rashes in the sun. There's a number of antibiotics that will cause rashes, and there are specific guidelines about staying in the shade and staying out of the sun. So talk to your doctor. When you go to the pharmacist and the pharmacy clerk says, do you have any questions for the doctor? It's a great time to ask, is there anything I need to consider while I go to the picnic that, this weekend when I take this medication?
Okay. I want to make a transition a little bit to, now I'm really concerned that I go out in the heat. Now you got me scared. We're having to gear up and protect ourselves and wear this and wear that and worry about drinking and what meds we're taking. And so I don't want people to stay home. But let's talk about the folks in their own homes that may not have air conditioning or something like that. We only have a few minutes. If we can talk about some things to be aware of, what is the best thing for those of us to do? We're trying to keep cool in our home. Maybe we have one air conditioner in a window. Maybe we don't have any. What can we do? What can we use? How do we stay safe?
Less layer of clothes, first of all, would be extremely important. Also want to make sure that you are using your air conditioner or fan if you have one, not waiting until the temperature in the home is 85 degrees. Turning it on in the early morning, because the temperature can really build up quickly, and it's extremely important to start cooling the home early in the day, not waiting until you're hot, because by that point in time you can be having those early levels of heat exhaustion. And again, when you start to develop that heat exhaustion, you don't have the sense of the need to drink, and it causes the problems to just escalate. Working in a home health agency is not unusual for my staff to come into the office at the end of the day and complain about how hot the homes are. People in their homes really don't, if they're not out and in the sun, they think they're protected, they're in their homes, and want to really conserve energy, but it's really important to maintain health. And we have seen a lot of people end up in the hospital as a result of not making sure that their home is not cool enough. So it's really important that the temperature of the home really not be more than 72, 74 degrees. And so you really need to start cooling the home, using that fan, using that air conditioner as soon as possible.
And I think they also think sometimes we've been taught, to keep things shades down and things like that, which will help cool.
Right.
But then all we're doing maybe is circulating the stale air and the hot air that's already in that room.
So yeah, that's a good point. Something that I didn't bring up is that it is important to make sure that there are some windows open so that there is some circulation occurring. If the weather is bad, it's not a bad idea for the rain, if it's raining, to open the windows from the top. So you still have some exchange of air, keep that air flowing.
And I think the other things is if you're able, if you have a multi-level dwelling, be cooler, be on the lower level. One of the other tricks I love to do, and it's real simple too, is just take a cold washcloth, run it under cold water and put it at the back of your neck. Your body temperature, you suddenly feel a little cooler.
That is another thing that I did want to mention. I know that we're getting ready to go, but the best way to cool if you are overheated is to actually take a cool shower. That works very fast. So if you do find that you're getting extremely warm, the best thing to do is to really take a cool shower. That'll cool the body down, and then make sure that you're continuing to drink fluids frequently.
Good. Thank you. We are running out of time, so I'm going to switch gears. I do want to thank Maria again for being our guest. Again, as I want to remind folks that she is the owner of Health Calls Home Health Agency, and I'm sure you'll be able to help somebody should they seek you out for more information. So thanks again. Please be safe this summer. One of the summer programs that I wanted to take this last minute or two of time to remind folks, it is time again for the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. The program runs June 1st through November 30th of this year. You are able to, based on 60 years of age and older, and an income. The income, and I'll just read one and two people. One person's income, household income, has to be $21,590 or less per year, or about $1,800 a month, or two people in the household of $29,101 or per month $2,425. So if you meet that criteria, you would be eligible for 4 $5 checks to be used at farmers markets in our area. Not grocery stores, not bodegas, farmers market. And at the farmers market, you will see the matching sign that says they accept these checks. To learn more about it or get the checks, you may call the Berks County Area Agency on Aging at 610-478-6500. The items can be used for fruits and vegetables grown in Pennsylvania. They cannot be used on items like jams and honey and nuts and cider and tropical fruits or processed food. Again, we provide you with a list of what it can be used and where you can go. It is a one-time ability to get those 4 $5 checks through this period of time. You can pick them up starting now, June 1st, through the end of September to pick up the checks. You can use them through the end of November. So please call our agency if you've got any questions. I thank you for tuning in and have a good night.